Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Baruch Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Baruch Hashem, Rachach, double honors unto the elders and apostles of great most done it well. And shalom unto the 144,000 elect men of the nation of Israel, and the rest of the elect that are destined to be saved under Brother Kalabadon from the GMS UK. Now the forecasters came coming back at you, and I've lesson to edify those which I spoke of. So in this brief lesson, I want to focus on this precept on the screen here. The precept is James 5 and verse 16, and it reads, "Confess your faults one to another, and pray for one another that ye may be healed. The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much." Now, the point I want to focus on is the beginning of the verse 16. Confess your faults one to another. Because this is a really good precept, because it shows you that real strength doesn't come from pretending you're wrong when you're right. No. Real strength comes from being able to admit when you're wrong, and then you correct it. But in today's world, a lot of men think that admitting their faults or admitting where they've gone wrong is an indication of weakness. But it's not an indication of weakness at all. And not a lot of men are able to be honest in that way and introspective enough in that way to admit when, hey, you know what, man, I think I went wrong there. I think I made a mistake there. And then to correct it. So that demonstrates that real strength doesn't come from illusions, illusions and projections of power. See, some people, especially a lot of men, they don't want to project anything that may seem weak, because they think that doing so is sabotaging their image and maybe eroding that. And it couldn't be further from the truth. Real strength comes from the ability to admit when you're wrong and deal with it. So that's what I was meditating on that precept. And the reason why I was meditating on that is because I had a situation recently where, how do I put this? I thought to myself, I was in a situation where I could be, what does the world say, wrong and strong and stubborn and dig my heels in and knock back down on my position, or I could admit, hey, you know what, man, I made a mistake there, and allow that to be known openly and apologize to the person that I made the mistake to, and let them know that, you know what, man, I'm not too proud to admit when I'm wrong. I took option B of the two. I did what the scriptures said here. Verse 16, James 5 and 16, I'll read it again. "Confess your faults one to another, and pray for one another that you may be healed. The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much." Now, it was a situation dealing with a number of calamities that have been taking place in my life recently, and it would be easy to place the blame on a person for a particular situation, but the person it wasn't their fault, it was someone else's fault. But it could have been easy to just pin the tail on the donkey and blame this particular person. But I thought, I'm not going to do that, because that's not right. Because you shouldn't blame people for, you shouldn't punish one person for someone else's mistake. So I said, you know what, I'm not going to do that. So I said to the person, I apologized, and I said, look, I don't like it when people blame me for someone else's mistake, so I'm not going to do that to you. And I apologize that, I took my frustrations out on you, because you shouldn't really do that. You shouldn't, how do you say, blame other people for someone else's mistakes. So I acknowledged that openly, and I told the person, look, I apologize for this. And you know what? The person really appreciated it. They appreciated the honesty, and everything went great from that point forward, because they saw that I wasn't on some bullshit and just like, oh, well, I'm going to blame you for this, I'm going to blame you for that. And now they saw that I was sincere about it, and that sincerity actually allowed the situation to progress a whole lot better than it could have done. So I'm grateful for that. And that's really as a result of applying these precepts. The scriptures do say when a man's ways pleases the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. And that's very true. And also the scriptures do say, pride cometh only by pride cometh contention, but with the well advised is wisdom. Proverbs 13:10. Only by pride cometh contention, but with the well advised is wisdom. So if you're proud, you're only going to inherit contention. But if you abandon your pride, you can avoid all of that stuff. So these are good precepts to keep in mind and remember. Forsake pride. Pride doesn't benefit you in any way, shape, or form. In fact, having pride is like having a ball and chain stuck around your legs and being thrown into the sea. It's hard to swim if you've got that pride chained to you. But when you let go of that pride, that's when you're able to swim freely and rise to the surface. But yeah, there's no shame in confessing your faults to another person. Now, the interesting thing about this is that after you've done this, it then falls upon the other person as to what they do with this. Because, some people can use this as a situation such as this, when you confess your faults to them, they can use it as ammunition to try and be like, oh, well, I'm going to use this against him, and I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to bring that up. And that's fine. Because if the other person then chooses to take that and try and weaponize it against you, they can do that. But the Lord sees it. And the Lord doesn't let things slide. If someone takes something that you've come to them in sincerity and humility and honesty and told them, and then they try and turn around and weaponize it against you, that's not a fault of yours. That's not a fault that you're going to have to endure forever. That's a fault on the other person. Because let's get some scriptures. This is Psalms 15 from verse 1. Lord, who shall abide in thy tabernacle? Who shall dwell in thy holy hill? He that walketh uprightly, and worketh righteousness, and speaketh truth in his heart. He that backbiteth not with his tongue, nor doeth evil to his neighbour, nor taketh up a reproach against his neighbour. See, there you go. So that whole thing of as I said, if someone takes something you told them and tries to use it to reproach you or backbite you, the Lord doesn't really like that. It says, he that backbiteth not with his tongue, nor doeth evil to his neighbour, nor taketh up a reproach against his neighbour. Yeah, so that's the point there. Because backbiteth, if I go into well, for backbite, if there is
Strong's H 7270. Ragel.
And the outline of biblical usage is to go on foot, spy out, foot it, go about, walk along, move the feet, which is the breakdown definition A, to be a talebearer, a slanderer, a go about. To slander, to go about as an explorer, to spy, teach, to walk. Strong's definitions, to walk along but only in specifically applications. To reconnoiter, to be a talebearer, i.e. slanderer, to lead about, to backbite, search, slander, spy out, go to view. Yeah, so the Most High knows if someone's doing that. And you don't need to worry your head about that. Because what does the scripture say? Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, I will repay. Let's get that. Yeah, this is Romans 12 and 19. This is the key point. I'll end it here. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. There you go. That's what I was looking for. Actually, let's read it from verse 18. Romans 12:18. If it be possible, as much life in you, live peaceably with all men. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him. If you thirst, give him drink. For in so doing, thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head. Be not overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good. There you go. So that's the point. I think that there's the Lord's willing, that's been edifying. There's no shame in admitting when you're wrong. There's actually great strength in that. And that's an opportunity for greater growth than if you was to, as they say, be wrong and strong and try and dig your heels in because of your pride. That's the fastest way to spiritual stagnation you'll ever take, So you don't want to do that. You always want to be strong enough to be flexible and admit when you're not right, when you're in the wrong. That takes great strength and courage to do that. But in doing that, you have greater opportunities of growth and progression. So with that, I want to once again give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakotash, double honors unto the elders and apostles of great millstone that rule well, and Shalom unto the 144,000 elect men of the nation of Israel and the rest of the elect that are destined to be saved. And I'll catch you on the next lesson, Lord willing. Shalom for now.